Hey, Podnutzians, welcome to Android App Addicts, episode number 570. This episode is brought to you by our newest Patreon supporter, Steve Brezen. If you would like to support this show, it's quite simple. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/Android App Addicts, or simply click the show notes and you will get a direct link to that way to support us. Super quick announcement. Thanks to a very long time supporter, we also now have a Mastodon server stood up, and we also have a Riot.io/Matrix server set up. All you got to know is if you never heard of Matrix chat servers, it's by far the most secure thing that basically has existed. It's good enough that literally the NSA uses it to communicate amongst itself. If you would like to get access to them, links should be directly in the notes. Thank you again to Caleb Fultz, unbelievably nice guy, smart guy, and a longtime pod nutsians. Speaking of pod nutsians, we're also joined this week by Josh. How's everything going, man?
Doing good, Dor. Doing good. Not a lot to report. Pretty happy that we're doing this for 2 weeks in a row. I mean, going to start being called a habit here pretty soon. Spent the week just rebuilding my personal website from the ground up and trying to learn and have fun. And yeah, that's about it for me. How you been?
Uh, no, we're not gonna go there. Too much stuff going on. But I will say, knowing you for as long as I have, which isn't a great long amount of time, I will say it's painfully obvious. Your skills with web design have ramped up like consistently. This latest website you did, I love the background because it's not overly complex, but if you look at it, there's something to it, kind of thing. And the fact that you there's little design elements that I think just makes it stand apart. So I think you're doing really good, man.
Thanks a lot, Dor. Yeah, I'm not the best designer. I'm more keen on like apps and getting things to work and back end stuff. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, yeah, and I will say the best thing about every technology focused type of career is they splinter off. Like 20 years ago, we had one job called web designer who did everything on the server, um, like admin type thing. Then they did everything about the web configuration. Then they did everything about the UX design. Then they did everything about the back end, if the site even had a back end. And they also performed all the updates and they answered all the emails for the website. We're
Yeah, definitely.
now, that's like 20 different jobs.
Yeah, definitely. It's I built this using Gatsby, which is sort of a framework or a library on top of React. And then what's great is basically being able to run serverless now. So I'm using Netlify, which is the name of the host, I guess, hosting company. It's a serverless company, and so basically, all you do is you point your GitHub or your GitLab repository, you point Netlify to that, and then it takes whenever you push a change to your master repo, then it automatically rebuilds the website. And that's all you do. You point it to the repo and it builds your website. You don't need a server. There's just nothing. All you do is you write the code and then Netlify takes the code and puts it in, builds a website. So
Very
there's no Apache, no
right.
Nginx, no reverse proxying. It's just straightforward. Here you go. And it's free as well to use Netlify.
Right. And there's no public facing databases. It is like unbelievably simple as the user's perspective is concerned and very secure.
It is. And it's nice because using Gatsby is a static site generator. And so what you just write code and then it compiles it on the server. And so it's basically you're just getting HTML and CSS on your browser, and so it's just lightning fast as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, every hack, every time we hear about breaches happening, they're always on websites that have some amount of interactive things to them. So to have a non-interactive type static website means the likelihood of you getting breached is, I'll give you two chances. One is slim and one is none.
Well, the beauty is that you can make it interactive as well. There are certainly ways. It's not just a static website. You can add dynamic components to it as well. I just didn't really have a need for any of that for what I wanted to do with this. And Ed in the chat was asking what the URL is, and it's joshuadennis.ca. So if anybody wants to shoot me some notes about how awesome or terrible it is, yeah, you just go there and there's a contact page, or aaa@podnutz.com.
Always works. Yep. I'm going to drop a quick link in the chat. And basically, this is to an app ecosystem. They have desktop applications, I'm 99% sure, and they have Android applications. And the Android application is written in Kotlin, the newest in air quote Android programming language, where they're trying to move people at least a little bit further away from the Java like old school way of doing it. If you want to join us on the Matrix / Riot.io server infrastructure on Android, you're going to need an app like this. Now, because Matrix is completely open, back end, most secure thing, one of the most secure things that's ever existed, there's a multitude of front ends you can load to access this server. This is just one of them. This was the one that was suggested to me by a couple people. So for right now, I'm running this both on my desktop and on my Android device. Think of it as beautified, prettified IRC. Think of it as IRC or AOL Instant Messenger, except nobody basically can snoop on any of the traffic. From what I believe, even the people who are hosting the website cannot see any of the data.
Have you found an Android app for Mastodon that's worth anything?
Well, I'll say I found plenty of them that in air quotes work. The one that I'm using right now, I want to say is called Tusky, like the
Right. Yeah.
tusk of it. I would say, and it works fine. I'm not going to say it works great. I'm not going to say it works fantastic. I will say it gives me what looks like I experience on the web on my mobile device, and it hasn't caused anything bad to happen.
No, yeah, that's good. I tried a few before, and for anyone that doesn't know, Mastodon is a federated, the Fediverse. So it's not Matrix, but
I
it's
like cheese.
it's basically you can spin up your own server, and at least this is the way I understand it. You can spin up your own server, your own Mastodon instance, and then you can follow anybody else that is on a server or running a server. So it's not like a centralized Twitter where you have to be on Twitter in order to follow somebody on Twitter. Anybody that's on Mastodon, any instance of Mastodon, you can follow from any other instance of Mastodon. Does that sound about right, Dor?
Well, I'm not an expert. I will say I wasn't going to stand this server up because I still have scars from Identica. And this is the exact same code base as Identica from like 8 years ago. It just evolves and keeps getting renamed. But Caleb stood it up, so I started to play with it. I'm shocked at how mature it is. I have no problem saying. I believe you can do two things. You can follow other people from other servers, or you can follow other servers. No, let me rephrase that. You as an individual can follow other individuals, or if you set up your own server, you can follow other servers. So there's two ways to do federation, either direct person to person or direct server to server. And then anyone on your server would then see what you align yourself with on the other server side. The good thing about it is the barrier of entry to loading these kinds of things keep coming down like insanely fast. You do not need to be a propeller head. You don't need to be a nerd. You don't need to have a soldering iron in order to set these kind of servers up. They're very simple, straightforward ways of doing it. And there's more than a couple hosting providers where you literally just go in and click a button and it will just launch it for you.
And the beauty is that you can't be silenced, or you can't, like Twitter, they can't just cancel your account, or Facebook just, silence you on their platform. Whereas this, I believe you can mute people or unfollow, or I'm not exactly sure what the terminology is, but we'll call it mute. And so if there's somebody that is saying something you don't like, you can just mute them, and then you don't get anything else from them, versus complaining to somebody until their account gets canceled.
Well, yeah, and I'll say I do believe you can do what's called shadow banning, which is banning people and they don't know that they're banned. But also, I'll say on the Podnutz instance, Caleb said to me up front, he wants this server to have the same ideals of Podnutz, which is on this Mastodon server, it's going to be tech, science, entertainment focused, nothing political, nothing religious, and nothing not suitable for work on this Mastodon server. So if you join the server and then you instantly start to post either right wing or left wing conspiracies, because they both got them, or the fact that thoughts and prayers saved 20,000 lives yesterday, or that even though there's 15,000 different genders when you go to Amazon to buy a t-shirt, they only have two. Any of those things will get you immediately banned from the server. Now, if you want to exercise it and see if we're doing a good job, then feel free to join and test that out.
Well, there's also plenty of other places where you can get such content. That's definitely not hard to find.
And that's the thing; it's everywhere. I'll say this tangent: Podnutz likes to learn, share, evolve their own thoughts over time, whether it be about what is a good smartphone, what makes a good operating system, how to handle business focused customers, kind of things. Those other three things I mentioned, no one wants to talk about them because everyone swears they already know everything in existence and there's no changing anyone's minds. I want people to show me what is a better application. I want people to show me what is a better way to do things on my computing device. I don't claim to know the end all be all of everything.
No, and neither should anyone else when it comes down to it. Ed in the chat says that lizard people are a thing though, Door. So
I never said they weren't.
maybe we should allow that talk in the Mastodon server.
Well, as long as you don't say that they're ruling the world, sure.
Oh, never mind. Lizard people are out.
So I'll say this on the Android news, the two pieces of news, and I only have a link to one of them that honestly kind of caught my eye. One of them was about HTC, and the other one was about LG. The article was from Engadget, which I still frequent, but on Android, I have to use Smart Browser or I'll lose brain cells. And on my home network, I have to have my Pi-hole running or else I can't access this website. But the HTC article is HTC is still making phones? Question mark. Which is really sad because this is one of the companies that revolutionized a lot of things in phones. They just never were able to like capitalize on the right thing, and they would always bet on the wrong thing, like 3D cameras and stuff like that. It's almost sad to see a company that was as popular as they were, they're still pretty good in the VR space, from what I believe. Just not be able to keep up.
Where do you know where their market is? I mean, is it North America or is it
I believe
Asian?
I believe their main market used to be Indonesia, Vietnam, India, places like that, Philippines, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, parts of Europe, definitely parts of Europe. But where they're at, people like Samsung are just completely destroying them.
Yeah, well, that's a rough go going up against Samsung anywhere.
Right. Yeah, and then the second article was about LG. There was a leaked memo, I believe it was a leaked memo from LG insinuating, they made the T phone and they have a rollable phone thing leaked. But there's an article going around. There was a leaked memo where they were insinuating at the end of 2021, LG might be out of the phone making business in air quotes for good. So we have one company that won't let go, that doesn't seem like they can be successful, HTC. And then we have a company that continuously at least tries to innovate, and it looks like they might just completely bail and just focus on their TV business.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's I don't know, it's the lion eating everyone else, really. One, I mean, did you end up deciding on a new phone door? You were looking at some one plus phones.
No, I mean, I haven't decided yet, but I will say there was a website that I think is going to help me decide what phone I should or should not get. I've been begging to find this kind of website for a while, so as soon as I found it, I immediately bookmarked it. And it is KIMOVIL.com. KIMOVIL.com. And it's a very simple site. You pick your country and then you type the phone in, and then you scroll down and you see how compatible any phone is with your country and your carrier of choice. Like when I take a look at this OnePlus Nord N100, well, I can see it has 0 of 8 5G compatibility with the United States. Well, there's a reason for that, because there's no 5G antenna installed on it. And then when I come down to like the T-Mobile marketing, 4 of 6 4G bands, 2 of 2 3G bands, and 1 of 1 2G bands. So it isn't completely compatible with the United States, but it's pretty dang compatible with my carrier, is the way I'll put it. And I've been trying to find phones that are more compatible with, the same type of specs or better, and the same kind of price or better. And it's really, really hard to find something more compatible at a better price. Now, they do have the OnePlus Nord 5G, which I do believe is actually a touch more compatible. Yeah, the OnePlus N10 5G is the actual model number. And then when I come down to T-Mobile, I see it's 1 out of 4 5G, which is not good. 5 out of 6 4G, 2 out of 2 3G, 1 out of 1 2G, and it's literally like $100 more. So more than likely, if push came to shove, I'd probably get the Nord N100, but I'm still not done. I want to search for at least another week to see if I can find anything better. And if you, the listener out there, knows of anything that's T-Mobile compatible that you think is a great bang for the buck ratio, not a $2,000 phone, not a $1,000 phone, not an $800 phone, not even a $600 phone. If you think there's something out there, even if it's like 2 years old, that's better, just let me know, because I am open to suggestions.
Yeah, I think you've either brought this website up before, or I found it before while looking for the same type of compatibility thing. It's a pretty handy, simple website. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I stumbled across this at least a little bit ago, but I completely like forgot about it. And then a couple weeks ago, I was trying to find, why can't I just find a site that just tells me what works and what doesn't work? And then I stumbled across that site, and it's not the most elegant website there is, but it definitely works.
Oh yeah. No, it's that Nord N10 5G. It works on one of one carriers in Greenland on 4G as well, just in case you were wondering.
Well, I like Greenland. There's like a constant fight over a city in Greenland over, I want to say it's Canadians and maybe Belgians, where like they put like bottles of liquor at a key spot and claim it as their own, that area. And then the next camp will come take that bottle and replace it with their own bottle. And Been doing it for years.
Ah, it sounds like a decent war to be in.
Well, a very non-American war, yes.
Yeah, right. That's why it's Canada and Greenland, I guess.
Yeah. Very cool.
There was one link that you had on here, Wise Notes, and that's an early access. I actually had this one to bring just as something new. I did try it. I reached out and I didn't file bug report, but you had passed us a Reddit link where the guy that developed this Aravind Chowdhury, and so I poked around on the app for a little while, and then sent him a message. Uh, that is this app, right? The one that you
Yep.
sent. Yeah. So, I'm not super keen on it because it doesn't work. Like, I know it's early access and beta, but you push buttons and they don't work. You push the camera and then you want to X out of the camera, or like it asks for permissions and you can't even get off that screen. And yesterday or a couple days ago, I tried to do something on that app and it just completely froze and I had to shut it down. So it has potential. I guess we'll actually bring it. Wise Notes with Brains, early access by Aravind Chowdhury under productivity. I guess I could post it in the chat as well. It's version 1.5 beta. Okay,
Right.
you got it. Thanks. And it's got 100 plus installs, updated January 27th. Oh, is that today or
Yep.
yesterday? Oh, there you go. I'll have to check it out again. In-app purchase $3.79 per item. I have no idea what that would be right now. And requires Android. It varies by device. So it's a simple note-taking app that could be interesting. But like I said, if you're looking for something right now to use, it's definitely not that.
Yeah. If you just search Reddit for Wise Notes, all one word, you'll find his posting. And I'll say this: he has ambition. I believe it's a he. I just assumed it's gender. He has high ambition. There's a lot of things he has planned out that he wants this app to be able to do, and a lot of them are truly open source focused or like free information focused, but also privacy focused, where he does not like, constantly uploading things for evaluation and then downloading the results. He wants to do everything on the local device itself. Um, this is the kind of app where, like for instance, Slack was an app I brought 3 years after I brought it to the show. I started to hear people talk about it and advertisers start to bring it up, and it being a thing in business. This is the kind of app where if this guy gets the proper support, proper motivation, proper feedback, this is the kind of app in, I think, a year or two could be one of the things highlighted by like Hong Kong protesters or people who have a real true um need to keep their private things private because they don't want government retribution.
And it's a quick description of it is quickly write anything that's on your mind, and Wise Notes will analyze the content on your mind and gives you quick suggestions or action you might need. This completely happens on your device. None of your notes or data leaves your device. So it actually does, when you first install it, it does take a little bit it downloads whatever it's using. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't look into it too much. I just know that I like the concept, but it is very, very buggy at this point.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that could grow into something, is what I'll say. I will say, when it comes to like the other news kind of things, I'd like not being a completely one-sided US kind of like podcast where all we ever talk about is phones in the US. So one link I wanted to bring up just for giggles was the top 5 best Chinese phones out there, and I'm really happy Ivor wasn't on the show tonight. Ooh, I just got to say that out loud. And here's the whole reason why. I'm always interested in what is popular someplace else, because just because something is or is not available when I walk into a local store does not mean it's any worse or any better than anything else. It just means that marketers decided, let's shove this down their throat. And one phone in this list is just as compatible as the OnePlus Nord N100 in this list. And they're the best 5 Chinese phones under $200, which I firmly believe $200 right now is the sweet spot. Once you go above $200, I expect this thing to run fine and smooth for a good amount of time, is the way I put it. It might not be the most durable. It might not have, 256 of internal storage. It might not have 12 gigs of RAM. It might not have all the bells and whistles. It might not have NFC. It might not have the best fingerprint reader, but it's at least affordable kind of thing. The first one was the Redmi Note 9T. This was the one that I think was the most compatible with my network. 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, 6.53-inch display, 1080 by 2400, and packs a camera with 48 megapixels, which I really don't care about the megapixels. It does say it was equipped with a Bluetooth 5.0, LTE and 5G networks, but I'm 99% sure its 5G chip is not compatible with any USA carrier. But I like having choices. I love that I look at this phone, the bezel is almost non-existent, and the camera is just a little pinhole camera. This one I also think had a fingerprint reader on the side of the phone.
How does that work?
Sony phones have them. Lenovo has them. It basically, you just take on the side of your phone and you like swipe your finger sideways across it. No one I've heard who has tested them and reviewed them said they were any more inaccurate than any other type of fingerprint reader, because I believe it's very similar to a lot of laptop fingerprint readers. Because if you remember, most of them are just a little strip. Not all of them are cubes or squares. There's little strips where you have to swipe your finger over top of it. I believe it's the same technology.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And since Ivor's not here, I'll say that my main computer is a Lenovo laptop, and it actually has that type of fingerprint. I'd never use it. I don't think I've set it up on this, but my last one did as well, where you just roll it over.
Yeah. And I'll say, speaking of Lenovo, I almost forgot. On one of my favorite websites around, BANGGOOD.com. Banggood.com. I was able to pre-order these essentially. And you know how when you pre-order things from Hong Kong, sometimes it takes, 6 weeks to get here. Well, I pre-ordered these from Banggood, and it took 3 weeks for them to get here. So it was faster than your normal Hong Kong shipping. And these are Lenovo earbuds with a USB-C and a full-size USB-A port. You can use this as a battery to charge your device. The actual model number on these are QT81, which will come into focus any second now. Maybe, there you go. QT81, and they look like what I call wired earphones with their cord cut, where they have like the stem that comes off of them. The one thing I like is when you put it back in, you see the charging percentage of the main unit and the charging percentage of each individual item. On Banggood, literally $17, and I want to say it was like $6 shipping. So less than $30 headphones. Their range is not fantastic. Not fantastic at all. Their battery life does seem to be pretty good. It seems to be 4 to 5 hours of charge per earbud. Can be in mono mode, so only one of them can be at a time if you want. And each one of those have a independent microphone on it. So you can easily use it for like phone calls kind of thing. Um, it's hard to beat that price. When I talk about bang for the buck, yes, $100 Samsung Galaxy Buds are going to be better than these. Are they going to be 5 times better? I'm highly suspicious they're going to be 5 times better.
I would say it's more bang good for the buck.
Exactly. And of course, when I told one friend about that website, he said, I'm not going to that website. He said, it's a kind of website that if my girlfriend like sees it, she's going to like freak out. So I said, maybe you need a new girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm happy with the ones that I have, but if I'd be interested if you after you have those for a while, let me know.
Gotcha. And I will say, Bang Good and Gear Best are 2 of the sites I really do like to visit, partially because their prices don't wildly fluctuate like Amazon prices. If you go to Camel and look at almost any item there, because they do tracking of Amazon and the prices are all over the place. With banggood.com and GearBest, their prices always seem to be pretty good, kind of thing.
They do, and they also have some pretty big sales as well. Where, I mean, all these phones on the top 5 under $200 phones. There's only one of them that's under 200. The one you were looking at is $270, which is still pretty decent. But the most annoying thing for me, which is pretty trivial, is when you go to GearBest or Banggood, it scopes out your IP to give you
Yeah.
your country of origin, which is fine.
Oh, okay. Now I'm back.
Hey,
I'm going to blame Jitsi
sure. Sounds good.
Sorry.
I'm going to blame Comcast.
Right after the country of origin. I don't use Comcast.
I'm still going to blame them.
Okay. That's fair.
One thing I did, you mentioned that you used smart browser or smart cookie browser. And then what browser do you use on your desktop or your laptop at home?
On
I know
my
you use a
main
lot.
Right. On my main desktop like machines, I'll say I use every browser. And what I mean by that is like on my work rig, I use Edge for my formal business things. I use Google for only Google centric things. And then I use Firefox for my personal type things. And I use Vivaldi or Brave when I need to do work related things like searches, but I don't want it in my Edge browser.
Like when you're looking at Banggood?
Yes. And then on my home computers, it's basically Firefox full time, except when I do a live stream because I have 80 tabs open in my Firefox and the resources are. So I literally open up Google Chrome where I only have Stadia, Speech Texter, studio.youtube.com, and this live communication stream open in my Google Chrome browser. So my browser usage is basically like task based.
I switched back to Brave, I think last week. I had used it before, and on Linux it was a bit sketchy. But now going back to it, it seems like they've made quite a few improvements, and I haven't had any issues with it. And now I'm starting to collect Brave coin or whatever it is you get.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in the Bahamas sometime soon.
Right. Yeah. Brave has matured a whole lot in the last like 6 to 8 months as being like that consumer focused browser. Vivaldi has matured to try to be like an all in one productivity suite kind of browser. And then like in the news, one of the links I hate that I have to share with people is Firefox is basically decided they're giving up, in air quotes, on progressive web apps, or as they call them, SSBs, single site browser, where you could say go to like say fastcompany.com, click a button, and it would make an icon that was just, and it was executable, and it was just that website kind of thing. Progressive web apps are still a thing on all Chromium based web browsers. In fact, Chrome and Chromium have kind of like went whole hard on them, saying that they're going to keep investing more in them, while Firefox in the last week announced that they're basically going to stop all development on single site browser, aka um, progressive web apps on their browser. And personally, when one browser gives something up, it's only a matter of time before the other one says, well, then why are we working on it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit disillusioned with Firefox anymore. I like some of the things that I like their philosophy, I guess, but and maybe it's just a Linux thing again, but running Firefox, it always just seems so much slower than running a Chromium based. And I don't know what that, I mean, that's even clearing the cache and everything else. So I'm not sure. I was using Dissenter for a while and then realized that it was on like Chromium version 68 or something,
Mm,
and the Chromium is at 81.
yeah,
And so I said, okay, they're obviously not maintaining this or updating the engine at all. So time to move on.
right, right. So what was the link that you dropped in the chat?
Oh, that was just the headphones I have. Is that the one you're talking about? Everywhere the chat was talking about the different headphones that people are using. So that's just
Oh,
another reason why everyone should come out to the chat on Thursdays at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is the only legitimate time zone.
exactly. Yeah, these are the headphones, the earbuds you have. And I will say my wife wanted to do physical therapy from work with her laptop, and a cord wasn't going to cut it. So she asked for earbuds that she could use. And I'm thinking to myself, I cannot suggest her something that I use, because there's a certain amount of um bugginess that I'm just very willing to work through, kind of thing.
Right.
That's the best way to put it. So I suggested to her, it was a set of Anchor earbuds. It wasn't these. I will say these look better than what I suggested to hers. Um, and hers were, I want to say, $80. Um, she is extremely satisfied with them, but at the same token, I look at them and I feel like I can't spend $80 on them.
Yeah, I think these were. Oh, I think I got mine on sale for like 40 Canadian. And then actually my wife got a pair as well, and I think that it was more expensive at that point. I think they're like $65 Canadian.
Gotcha. Well, and like these have noise canceling. Ain't no way mine have noise canceling. I have no problem saying that.
I've been
My
extremely happy with these. There's a couple small things that I would probably change, but overall they're good, and they have quite a good battery life. They have it looks like they're actually $80 now with a $20 off coupon on Amazon. But
I don't like coupons.
yeah, but they have a good range. I'm actually
That's what I was going
quite
to ask you.
quite impressed.
Because my
Yeah,
old ones, my old QCY ones, which are basically, they're actually show me manufactured headphones. These things have an easy 30-foot range, like
mm,
insanely good range. The Lenovo's, the ones I just got, I can't walk 20 feet away, and they
right.
start
Might
dropping out.
might as well put some wires on them.
Almost. And my wife swears the one that I got her has a great range. I don't know what that means. I don't ask too specific of questions. But also I noticed these also say that they have a IPX 5 rating, which I'm pretty sure the Lenovo has like no rating, because you got to pay for that rating.
I don't even know what that is.
Uh,
Oh, the waterproof.
well, no, IPX is ingress protection, not the game on Android, but ingress means like moving in kind of thing, making progress. IPX is the how hard it is for something to get into a device. Typically, there's two numbers, which confuses me. One is solid, one is liquid. So it's like IPX 68, which means it's a 6 versus liquid, 8 versus like dust. So what all you got to know is the higher the number, the better, number one. And number two, it just means that you can work out with this thing and your sweat in 2 weeks ain't going to kill it.
Well, if you're sweating while you work out, then you're working out too hard.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't worked out for a while, and I tried to like blame my shoulder and neck pain to my doctor. I said, I really would be working out if this didn't hurt so much. And the one doctor just looked at me like, I'm not buying that. But I tried.
Yeah, I've definitely sweated with these things on, and I mean, never had any sort of a problem. So
Very cool.
I would I would recommend them. I mean, they're a bit more expensive than what you were talking about, but I'm pretty happy with them.
Gotcha. There was one more thing I just wanted to mention to you, Josh, uh, personally, and it's the kind of thing I got to keep saying every now and then, or I just completely forget about it. You last week didn't hint towards. You said quite dramatically that you might be looking to hop off of Android this year. Now, number one, we all have to like pick our battles. Using technology for whatever means is like a marriage. We're not going to get perfect. We have to compromise about certain things. Um, People measure privacy, people measure control, however you want to measure it, but you got to always remember choices exist. So hypothetically, you might use Android for your podcast listening and for like two other tasks, but for your tracking things where you're going to go places and you make phone calls, don't forget KaiOS, KAIOS. Their phones are not as functional as Android devices, but if you want a mobile phone to be a mobile phone, I have no problem saying these meet basically everyone's expectations, is the way I put it, for a mobile calling device where you can still use popular progressive web apps, um, kind of thing, whether it be WhatsApp or Google or other services. You could still use them on this device. And to me, the best thing of all, they're actually affordable.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Kai in a while, but maybe I will take a look at that.
Well, because honestly, I can see having an Android device on my person, having no mobile data, having no wireless data, connecting to another device that is like a hotspot, where all I do on my Android device is play my podcast, do some like low level organization kind of things, and then having a separate standalone, simple in air quotes device to handle phone calls, text, and that kind of thing.
Have you ever heard of Graphene OS?
I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones that swore that they were going to be more private and more secure than any other Android. All it is Android reskinned, essentially.
Yeah, it's all the Google taken out of Android, but they
Right.
also claim that they have Android app compatibility.
Well,
Um,
I'll say like this: there is no device manufactured in 8 years that can run Android on it that actually does not run what's called closed source binary blobs on it.
well, this is what I was referring to wanting to pick up a Google Pixel phone because they're the only ones that they like they don't support necessarily, but they claim it runs perfectly on these XL or Pixel phones.
It does. The last Google device that actually could run completely open coded things was the Nexus 5. Everything after that, thanks to Verizon and how closed source Verizon is, you have to run closed source binary blobs in order to be compatible with them. And like, for instance, the Jeff Bezos hack, where a Bonesaw guy over in Egypt sent an MP4 file to Jeff Bezos' device, it actually made its way into his device from closed source binary graphics drivers. So, as good as this company or this organization is trying to do, unless they support, well, like open hardware infrastructures where you don't need binary blobs, this is just as like insecure as the most modern iOS device, where they literally just patched like 3 0-day exploits yesterday. Yeah, because the problem isn't gaps, the Google apps. Let me rephrase that. True security fashion, the problem isn't gaps. The problem is the baseline firmware that's running it and the binary blobs. Now, for just privacy, getting rid of the Google apps is a huge accomplishment towards that.
Yes, I mean, it's ironic that I want to get off the Google ecosystem, and this operating system runs on Google phones. The irony is not lost on me, but I am trying to do this. I talked about last week getting a 2 terabyte lifetime cloud storage. And so I did that, and now it is currently syncing Nextcloud, a Nextcloud directory that I have on my computer, which is synced to Nextcloud, which is inside of this P cloud. And so now the Nextcloud is automatically syncing to a cloud storage. And my intent is to get this, replace Google Drive with this setup. And I also have a Synology NAS, an older one with not much RAM, but they offer a mail server as a plugin for that. And so I want to turn that into my mail server to get off of, at least for, the domains that I have. I'll still have a Gmail account, but for the joshuadennis.ca, and I've got some other domains. And so to be able to host my own email server and not pay Google a monthly fee in order to use Google Business.
Right.
So that was quite a long diatribe. You still awake?
Yeah, I'm here. And it's one of those things, the way I'll put it is everybody believes in conspiracy theories. Everybody does. Everybody does since the beginning of time, just before we didn't know they were called conspiracy theories. And even though me and my son, my oldest son, have went back and forth for now like 9 weeks, trying to find different conspiracy theories that we each believe in, we can't find anyone. I still know I do. Okay. I'm no better than anybody else. Okay. Part of me does not want to run Chromium based desktop browsers on my systems for my things that I hold near and dear to my heart. You know what I mean? Because they're Google backed. Is Firefox a better browser? No, I don't think it is. But I believe the people behind Mozilla have better intent. Does that mean I'm right? Hell no. That's why I use the word belief. Because this whole thing is based off of AOSP. To me, it's like building a desk that only has 2 legs, and the third leg you have to provide yourself. And you never know when that third leg is going to give out, because something's going to drop support, something's going to change. The Pixel devices at least get really prompt updates directly from Google as far as security. Now, that's security from Saudi Arabia, that security from Russia, that security from China getting into your device. While Google has a firm grasp around any reproductive organs you have connected to that phone, kind of thing. So then it becomes to like who you trust. Steve Gibson did say, I want to say around 3 years ago now, we need to have a new term defined because security is not security. Security is, where do you find your trust? Do you find your trust in yourself? Well, then you better be an administrator. And then after that, well, do you trust Google? Do you trust Apple? Do you trust HTC? Do you trust Amazon? Who do you trust? Because you have to trust somebody eventually. Because even if I want to be my own admin, I got to then trust HostGator or GoDaddy or somebody to host my web servers. You know what I mean? I cannot be my own ISP. I didn't hit the Mega Millions or any of those, $600+ million jackpots.
TNO. Trust no one.
Trust no one, and PIE, pre-internet in encryption. But then there's always the like masterful wild card of it doesn't matter what you do, and that's a keylogger. So then that means you would install nothing on your device ever unless you absolutely positively have to have it and you can vet the source code or somebody else has vetted that source code.
Well, and that's one of the things that at least with Chromium, it is open source. It's not just Google. It's an open source browser engine where, say, Brave, I don't know what they're doing, but what they say they're doing, you can take that and actually, audit that code and make it your own, I guess. And then put it into your browser so it's not Google. I don't know that is Google getting all the information from all Chromium browsers.
Well, this is what I'll say. There's more than a couple extreme weenies, as I call them, on YouTube that won't stop screaming at the top of their lungs. And the two things I think they keep screaming at the top of their lungs is, if you take a look at the Brave source tree, or you take a look at the Vivaldi source tree, it's not 100% open source. Which means then it's not a question of do you trust Google, it's a question of do you trust Brave? Or do you trust Vivaldi? Because they're inserting their own binary objects into that source tree. Now, if you go run just a pure vanilla Chromium, I believe you are correct. It is 100% open code. I don't know, who audited it or when they audited it, but at least it should be available to such audits.
Yeah, I have never looked into it. That's actually, I probably never will either, but
well,
it's definitely interesting.
We all have to, I don't want to say gamble, but we all have to gamble from time to time. The only question is, what do we gamble with? Is it our social security numbers? Is it our, tax information? Or is it a sports game you want to bet on? Transition. Over on The Verge, they posted an article literally today. Gambling apps are coming to Google Play Store in the US and 14 other countries.
You know what I gambled on? Shorting GameStop.
Oh my goodness. I tried to explain to my oldest son how that worked. And you can bet the stock market is nothing but gambling. Okay. You're betting on the future of something, whether it's today or tomorrow or at a set length in time. And the GameStop thing, the big monopolies, the big, huge hedge funds said in the next 6, 8, 12 months, we are betting that the value of this stock will be less. And then they invest in that being a possibility. So when that happens, because GameStop sucks and it will lose money, that then those hedge funds will earn money. But then the super trolls on Reddit decided we're going to stick it to the man. And they completely made like GameStop increase. I want to say it was like almost 200% since
no, it was like 1,000%. It started off at $18 and it was, I think today it was over 400.
Yeah, see, that's nuts. And the whole reason to do it is if you are if you're really quick and intelligent, you can get in and get out and you can make cash. But at the same token, these hedge funds are losing. I want to say it was $4.7 billion.
16.4 billion as of yesterday. Well, that's the thing that is interesting though. I've never really understood how long it is until somebody can call those shorts in. You put it, you can, I don't know if you put a short and then you say like, I'll pay you back in 30 days if it's out, that's how it works, or if it's just whenever they say, okay, I want it back, or
Well, I believe it's up to the individual hedge fund, which would almost be like an index fund, but it's a hedge fund. They set their own terms. Usually it's, I want to say 18 months and 36 months out is the thing. So realistically, here's the gimmick. All the money they lost, it's a paper loss. It's not a real loss. In 3 months, when GameStop goes back to being worth nothing, all the hedge funds will just make their money right back again. But in the meantime, there are like little crafty trolls doing pump and dumps is what this is. And pump and dumps are extremely illegal. They are pumping and they are dumping. They are pumping the stock up to irrational heights where it should never be at, and then dumping their stocks out to make money. They're pump and dumping, which is illegal. But it's only illegal when you're brought in front of a judge. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
well, it's also, I mean, there hasn't been a dump yet. So,
Individuals have.
sure, but that's not, I mean, the way a pump and dump usually works is they usually do it on penny stocks where
Right.
you'll have, I actually, I messed around with stocks a while ago, and there was one that I just sat on, who knows why. And it ended up going up like, 500% in a day. And I thought I was going to be a millionaire, and then it started going back down, and it was difficult to get, to get that sell order in. But yeah, so usually a pump and dump will be, they'll set the groundwork for a couple months and
Right.
buy and then they just shoot it up. Everybody will just buy it one day, and then after there's a frenzy, and all the nincompoops like you and I that don't know what we're doing say, wow, look at this. So they buy into it. And then, yeah, you're selling all of your shares.
Right. And I believe a pump and dump is typically the founders or the company owners themselves making out, where GameStop is just, they're like the drunk alcoholic hobo on the side of the road. They have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? They're just sitting there, and all of a sudden they're getting showered with money, and they don't know what to do.
Well, it's interesting too that these hedge funds make billions of dollars a year, and sometimes with nefarious means, I'm sure. But then something like this happens, and they're calling to shut down the Nasdaq and put a stop on the trading for the stock. And they actually, I believe Reddit shut down the subreddit that, whatever, the Wall Street goons or whatever it is. And so, yeah, they throw the hammer down pretty hard when it's the Joe public trying to make a little bit of money, and not
Well,
these big hedge funds.
on Nasdaq, it's automatic. Nobody has to do anything. Nasdaq has algorithms in. If any one stock changes a given percentage up or down in a set of time, it's immediately frozen. And this would not have happened on Nasdaq. Period. That level of manipulation is not possible. And the only reason I know that is because I know one of the guys who sold the solution to Nasdaq that does their back end algorithm stuff. And he said, this is old school Wall Street. This is not Nasdaq, where Wall Street requires somebody to step in and pull like a brake. Everything is gambling. I get in my car, I go to the store, I'm gambling my life away. I go to the store, I buy a gallon of milk, I'm gambling that price will not go down before tomorrow. Buying stocks is just exactly like going to the blackjack table and gambling. except people believe the odds are a little different. You know what I mean? Same kind of thing, just different atmospheres, I'll put it. And I'll say more regulated, but regulation never benefits the end consumer. From anything I can tell, regulation always supports the companies. So, the Redditors had a blast, had a ball. Let them enjoy their pina coladas while they walk on a beach or something. Because I'm pretty sure if they might try this thing again the next, 3 to 6 months, I don't know if they're going to be successful.
Well, I'm interested to see if these huge losses are actually realized by the hedge funds, and if they are, how long it takes before the US government decides that they're going to bail them out, because that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
If people that are in those types of positions, they are terrible at their job, or they get caught doing something, then they just get bailed out anyway. So
I heard an interview with the leading number one hedge fund in the US today. They said they lost 4% value. So he said, we're not worrying about this. We're in it for the long haul. None of our customers have called to cash out, kind of thing. We are like, if there was a run on the banks where people were trying to cash out all their stuff from the hedge funds, then they'd be in trouble. But he said, we haven't had a single person call up and panic.
So that is Stock Market Corner with Dor and Josh, who are talking completely out of their bums.
Well, I can only guarantee you one thing. You want to lose money, invest it. Because, like 80% of the people lose money. Kind of like if you go to a casino, you and like 6 people, odds are 5 of you are going to lose money. One of you might come out with a little bit of money.
Red in the chat says that the hedge funds already got bailed out.
Well, everyone got bailed out in 2008. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. We'll see if he's talking about now or then.
Yeah.
There was I bought a antenna a while ago for $6, which is supposed to be a digital antenna for a TV. Yeah, you plug it into your old cable part of your TV, and then you're supposed to get digital channels. If I'm saying that right, I haven't tried to get TV in a long time. And so I hooked it up, and I mean, we live kind of in the middle of nowhere, and there was no channels when I did a scan. So whether I did it correctly or not, I'm not sure, but it seemed like pretty straightforward. Plug it in, scan for channels. And so I downloaded this app, which is called Digital TV Antennas, and by Nicholas Lichtmeyer under Tools. It's for everyone, contains ads. 4.3 average reviews out of 29,110. Updated January 12th, 2021, 4.7 megs in size, 1 million plus installs. Current version 3.33. Requires Android 4.1 and up. And it was a very simple scanner, basically, to where if you're looking for those antennas that you want to point your, or I guess they're towers or whatever they are, you want to point your antenna to, then this locates them and then points an arrow in the direction that you want to go. And it picked up one, and I pointed it there, but it didn't matter because it was too far away or too many trees or something. But it seemed to work pretty good for what it was doing. So it's kind of a clever little app.
Yeah. The bad thing about digital television is, like, you remember back in the analog days, the degradation of a picture was graceful, where it would be sharp and then it'd be a little bit fuzzy, and then you'd see a little bit of static, and then a little bit more static, and then a little bit more, then a little bit more, then a little bit more. Then it was mostly static, and then got worse, and then to where you could barely see a picture in the background. With digital, signals, it either works or it doesn't.
Binary.
Yeah. So unfortunate truth is those signals go far less in distance. So if you're in a place where back in the 80s you would have gotten 2 TV signals or 3, you'll be lucky to get 1 with this digital revolution is what I'll say. What I would say might be worth it, don't know. Pluto TV is the one that the most people in the world have tried to tell me is the best all-in-one IPTV based solution. You get ads in your content, but it's completely free. And you can get everything from um, diehard like channels that show nothing but the Golden Girls or the A-Teams, or even some like newer type content is what I'll say. Me, I don't sit down and watch TV that much. When I do, I'm just like the normal nerd. I go out and pirate my stuff because I ain't got time to sit through other stuff.
Does Pluto have a fuzzy Cinemax? That was back in the day of cable where you would you would get all of the channels, but only the ones you pay for wouldn't be fuzzy or bleeped out, or not bleeped out, but yeah.
Right. Well, back in my day, we used to have what's called Super TV, where television channel 54 on the, 2, 11, 13 kind of thing, you would turn the channel 54 and you would get a signal that was definitely messed up where you had to pay to get a box put in that would decipher normal antenna based copyrighted content like content. And yeah, there were definitely some naked people on that one if I remember.
Right.
But yeah, Pluto TV, I would guess that you could get at least something rated R, but I don't know if you would get something above that.
Then after that they had the cable boxes, which I think were the dishes maybe,
Mhm.
and where you had the dish, but then you also had a little card too that you had to slide in like a credit card,
Yep. Like,
and that would be your
yeah,
cipher key or something. I
that
don't
was
know.
a PCI card. Yes, it was almost identical with to a credit card, yet it had the little like gold teeth on it.
Right.
Yep.
But you did mention that because you're a red-blooded American, you pirate things, and we did get an email from Scott Rimmick,
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
um,
Long time
and
listener.
yeah, and it's I quite enjoyed the thread here a bit, but he said I wanted to respond. Reason your disingenuous characterization of Plex. While you somewhat disturbingly are quite brazen in public in declaring yourself a proud pirate of the contents of your Plex server, please do not frame Plex as a primary tool for pirates that will disappear if laws crack down harder on pirates. That is not the purpose of Plex. And by publicly describing Plex as a pirate tool, you are inappropriately hearkening in the very bleak future which you lament about, drawing more eyes onto it that might not be familiar with it already, and setting their first sense of it inappropriately is counter to your own best interest as a Plex user. Lest you don't believe that someone using Plex has their own extensive media library, see attached. And he has a a pretty large
Oh yeah.
rack of Blu-rays and DVDs. It looks like this is just because you're a Plex user who pirates all their content doesn't mean the rest of us are. And then there is some French, which I
Yeah.
don't know what that means.
I'll just put my response in a summary. I've listened to easily 7,000 hours of news over 2020, including C-SPAN, and at least 3 different occasions, I've heard congressmen and senatemen come on the floor of our Congress in the United States of America and classify Plex as a pirate's tool for sharing content. Now, if you take a piece of content you own, whether it's VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, or anything else, and you put it into your own digital media, and then you watch that digital media, as far as Congress is concerned, as far as the EULA is concerned with that content, and as far as the DCMA is concerned, you are breaking the law because VHS has stuff on it to prevent copying. DVDs do, Blu-rays do. Yes, there is gray law to where you can make your own backup copy. The law is very clear, written a backup copy, not a primary use copy. So you can have the DVD, but then you have to prove the DVD or Blu-ray doesn't work anymore. That's why you're using this backup copy. 2, if you share that library with anybody, or you have that thing available on 2 devices to where hypothetically you could watch the same ripped DVD movie on 2 different devices, as far as the EULA is concerned, again, you are a pirate. If you share your library with anybody with the possibility of them watching that content at any point in time that you are also watching that content, you are a pirate. I'm not saying these things because I'm afraid it's going to happen. I'm saying these things because that's what the lawmakers see us as. Um, I've said it a million times on a million different shows. Perspective is reality. It doesn't matter what you see yourself as. You might see yourself as a freedom fighter, and you might be right to you. But as far as Congress is concerned, the people that make the laws in this country, by the way, Congress, nobody else, Plex is a tool used by people who pirate things, who break DMC laws, who break copyright laws, who break the laws of sharing. And in the most recent stimulus package passed on, I want to say December 27th in the United States of America, which was also the yearly budget, there's a little piece in there that made downloading content or even taking a DVD and copying that data down to your local computer a crime, a federal crime. So I'll just say, everybody enjoy Plex while you can. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing is never. You know, all good things come to an end, and Plex will come to an end. But till it does, I will share my library out with people. I will enjoy other people's libraries shared with me, but I'm not going to count on it being there. And it has nothing to do with what I say or what I think or what I believe about the system. Resistance is futile. You know, stuff's going to move forward.
So yeah, thank you for the email, Scott, and everyone else that wants to send an email to tell us that we're wrong or right. Probably more wrong than right. AAA@podnutz.com.
Yep. Well, yeah, and if anyone's noticed, Plex keeps adding these new features, Plex TV, adding their own custom channels, adding like a gaming streaming service. They're slowly trying to push themselves away from that media library sharing thing that honestly brought them to the dance. Um, and I still really like Plex. I still really like the people behind Plex. I still give them money from time to time. It's just, it doesn't matter. When the federal government gets you in their sniper rifle, it is hard to survive.
Well, Caleb is in the chat now, and he just mentioned he says that Jellyfin is the best alternative he's found so far.
Yeah, see, me, it was a Streama.
So I've never heard of Jellyfin. I just looked it up, and it is the free software media system. So that's interesting.
Yeah, mine was just Stream and A at the end. And the reason I like this one was it was very easy to set up on my own local server and then give somebody else password access to it, kind of thing, which it was definitely not as easy to like search through multiple libraries like Plex is. But the last time I looked at Jellyfin, it was really just me and my own media. But that was a while ago. I'm going to say just one more, like, completely, as far as I'm concerned, off the wall link kind of thing. And I don't want to say this is a prediction, but it's kind of a prediction. We here in the Android verse have seen a great number of changes, great number of manufacturers come and go, a great number of technologies look like they're going to be the next greatest thing, and then things that come out of the blue and just blindside us all. I believe in non-corporate focused economies, we're going to see a huge push by manufacturers to start to enable RISC V processors, RISC-V. Some people out there might call it RISC V, but those people have never actually heard one of the speeches given by the actual people who started this up. Long story short, RISC V is an architecture language created by college professors to help teach coding architecture to their students, because nothing existed that was completely open and what they called fully functional. So for like the first 10 years that it existed, it was in theory just something that they could run on like compilers and inside of like x86 computers. Like years after that, somebody finally decided, well, let me take their architecture and actually print chips based off of this. Okay. Which really wasn't that long ago, but the amount of advancement that's been made like in the last 18 months with RISC V is quite literally insane. And I predict by the end of 2021, we're going to see some low end, low power, functional appliance type RISC V devices being sold with Android. It can't be the Android Internet of Things anymore because they killed that, but with a very low build of Android on it to do some basic appliance type IoT things where it will be completely open architecture, aka if you want privacy, this is the only way you're going to be able to get it. But two, you'll be able to see all the code that's being ran on it, hypothetically, kind of thing. I don't want to say this is the future processor of digital freedom fighters and people who really care about their privacy, but that's what I perceive it possibly being.
So I think we talked about this last week as well. Um, the RISC architecture it's the same as like the RISC operating system. I mean, the same company. Like you can get a RISC OS for Raspberry Pi.
No, nope, no. Uh, Risk. What you're thinking of is ARM. Um, Raspberry Pi is ARM, like
Yeah, no,
Snapdragon.
no, I understand that, but it's the same. It's RISC RISC, and it's an old operating system or programming language. So I'm just wondering if it's the same, like it has the same base, maybe.
Well, it's based off the same, I'll say, fundamentals. I don't think it's the same programming language as ARM. I think there is some, at least, difference to it. And I cannot remember the name of the copy protection that was on VHS tapes, Caleb, but there was a true copy protection to where when the very first VHS, if you tried to do a tape to tape copying, it would get completely messed up. It had a weird name like Time Whiz or something like that. If you look up VHS copy protection, there's plenty of stuff out there about it. But yes, they put that copy desk in the day, rubs their hands together, twirls their mustaches, and thinks they're evil. Okay. We are what we are, kind of thing. Not even Hitler thinks he's evil, to be honest. So what's
There's,
this?
yeah, you dropped out there for a minute, so I was going to start.
I blame Hitler.
That took a turn. This is called Emule Remote Mail, which I thought I brought last week as well, but maybe I just had it on my list of things to bring. And it's early access, and it's from the University of Cambridge, and it's under communication. and it was updated. So it's early access. It was updated the 18th of April 2017
Mm.
and has 500 plus installs, and the rest is whatever. The reason that I even saw this was one of the developers for Internet in a Box was he pinged me about helping him work on this, which I didn't have time to do at the time. But it's basically you have your server. So we'll use the use case of Internet in a Box, where you maybe have your Raspberry Pi running your Internet in a Box server in the middle of nowhere in Myanmar. And so you have an email server on there, which if somebody's running this Emule app, when they come in contact with that server, it will transfer the emails to their phone. And then when that person goes to somewhere that has internet access, then it'll upload those to where they're going, I guess, to maybe another Emule app. And then when that person goes, it is kind of a delivery. It's a mule. It's sneaker net for email almost.
Yeah, I was thinking like almost like a mesh network for email.
Yeah, so it's a extremely interesting concept. It's an open source project, which I can't remember what it's based on, but it is. I think there's other products which are actually in development, which it looks like this one not so much. But I thought it was a very interesting concept.
Gotcha. I'll say I hope it's not based off a canine male. And I'm going to guess whoever did the initial development graduated from a Cambridge college, either MIT or Harvard, right around 2017.
Right. This app is pretty interesting. I haven't had much time to look at it too intensely, but it's an app for a website called Notion.so, and they claim to be an all-in-one workspace. So it's a one tool for your whole team, write, plan, and get organized. And so the app is called Notion Notes, Tasks, and Wikis. And it's by Notion Labs Inc. under productivity, and 4.4 average reviews out of 21,151. Last updated January 15th, 2021. 24 megs in size, 1 million plus installs. Current version 06.51. Sorry, 0.6.51. And the reason that I was even turned on to this is there's somebody that had developed a dashboard of sorts, parsing data and creating lists out of said data and things like that, and it looked pretty nice. And so in order to access it, you have to go through this Notion ecosystem. And so the app was pretty nice. And if you're looking for yeah, it's I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's It's almost you can create a website looking dashboard from what I've seen. And then it also looks like it's a Trello and any sort of collaborative note taking for teams and things like that.
Well, I'll say 2020. This is 2021. Hold my beer. This looks like it's trying to be, in air quotes, the next generation Office-like suite collaboration tool that looks, I'll say, at least mobile aware. I don't want to say mobile focused, but yeah, Kanban boards or Trello boards are one of like hallmarks of collaboration and task management. So this thing not only has tasks and to-dos with 20 different block types, which if you've ever done task or to-dos, you understand how block types can help organize the things that you're trying to do. It has, of course, drag and drop functionality, offline sync with all kinds of devices. You can organize all of your tagged or tabbed items, uh, calendar integration, spreadsheet and database integration, and real-time collaboration. So to me, that sounds like it's the backbone of like your normal Office thing, but with better, dare I say, more modern front end ways to do what you're trying to do, and having the real-time collaboration to me is the key. Me using stuff for me purposes is fine, but me doing team-based things are, to me, the real things that can really enable people to be really productive. So this is definitely the kind of thing where if you want to work with people as an organization, if it's 2 people or 30 people, this is the kind of tool that can definitely help you be more organized. The simple fact it has that many installs, over 1 million install, tells you somebody is finding this incredibly useful.
Well, I was actually shocked as well. It seems, after I was shown it the first time, I was surprised that it seems to be a pretty well used app, not just an Android app, but the actual Notion product in general. The only issue that I had was that it doesn't have a desktop app for Linux, of course,
Right.
but you can use it in the browser. So there is that.
Well, I'll say it like this. One of the things that I've been following, tangent again, um, is the number of investments, the A, B, and C funding rounds for companies that are doing codeless solutions. There are companies out there that are putting off the shelf products out to companies, large companies that cannot do what the companies need them to do. But to make that software, configure that software, modify that software to get what you as a company want it to do doesn't require any coding. They're codeless solutions. They are, in air quotes, the future for the next like 5 to maybe 10 years of huge companies making huge amount of monies, bleeding their software inside of big enterprise solutions. We, the end users, will start to see that kind of thing trickle down to us. And the example I'll use is this kind of functionality that we're getting in this application used to require insane amounts of like macro creation and manually setting up synchronization kind of tools where they're again lowering the bar of complexity to where all you need to do is install an Android app, create an account and invite your friends, and you have functionality that even 5 years ago was like in a dreamlike trance. It would, too hard to happen.
Well, they're showing the Wall Street Journal, Pixar, IBM, Verizon, Nike, and McDonald's on their homepage as users. So it must be good if those people are using it.
And of course, you go to notion.so/desktop, Notion for Mac and Windows. Oh joy. So maybe there's like a package I could install that would install Wine or Wine Tricks or something on Linux, or maybe it could be usable. I don't know.
Oh, I'm over using wine for anything. I'll figure out something else if I need to.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I tried to use Wine for, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it failed miserably, and I just completely nuked and paved everything out. I got no problem, you know, blazing my own path, if you will, and just, working what works, doing what I have to do to just get things done. Um, I definitely could pull out another 20 to 30 apps. Um, let me just do, we were talking about content kind of thing. Um, Mark Cockrell, the beloved guy I love down there in Georgia, Mark Cockrell, who right now is in podcasting. He's dealing with family matters. Um, was a firm believer that the true winner in streaming services would be Roku. And I didn't want to say I doubted him, but I knew they were like the winner in hardware, but I didn't see them as being a winner in streaming services. Well, Roku channel, free streaming, live TV and movies, is a thing now that you can load on basically any Roku device, even made in the last 10 years. They have been purchasing up libraries in the last like 6 months. So if there's something random that you can't find on HBO Max, um, Hulu, Netflix, um, CBS All Access was renamed to Paramount Plus, Disney Plus. If there's something you can't find on one of those services, why not load up the Roku channel and see if you can find it there? There are ads on it from what my wife saw. She said the ads were no worse than any other ads she's seen on any other type of service or system. I don't want to say I'm starting to believe Mark, but Roku is the only company that Amazon, Google, Apple, Netflix don't seem to hate. And, sometimes to win an election in the United States of America, you just need to be less hated. Wait, no, wait. Sometimes to be the best streaming service in America, you just need to be the less hated one. Maybe. I don't know.
I always, I thought the Roku was a really good piece of hardware. I still have it's an old one, but the reason that I replaced it, at least upstairs on our main TV, was because it didn't. There's no Amazon Video app in Canada for it, and there's a couple other ones too that weren't available in Canada. And I think that they've rectified that situation, and I think there's a lot more apps available for it in Canada. And the thing is, our we bought a TV last September or something like that, 65-inch TV that is a Roku TV, which would be great because then you have one remote control to rule them all. However, it our receiver, which the speakers are hooked up to, it doesn't have, what is it called? There's some type of, it's a HDMI,
Right.
basically sound through the HDMI. And so if we're listening or watching with the Roku on the TV, then all the sound you're going to get is coming from the TV. And so that's kind of a Debbie Downer.
Right. Yeah. The only reason to upgrade a Roku seems like there are newer apps or newer services that just aren't available on old Rokus. It seems like old Roku devices never die. Uh,
They're tanks.
yeah. And the description of this channel says search and discover new TV shows, live sports, live news, and much more, including and not limited to uh, season premiere content from Stars, Epics, Showtimes, and HBO. Um, so Roku has made deals with these other providers to at least have premiere type content. Now, hypothetically, a brand new season come to Showtime, it will be available on Roku streaming, but only for like 3 months, and then they'll lose the availability to stream that content. they're not going to be able to keep it like, Showtime would. But I beg people, do not count this one out. I think this will have a very good possibility in every year moving forward, just becoming more popular and more natural for someone to say, "Have you checked this out on the Roku channel? Have you checked that out on the Roku channel?"
Yes, for me, it's just a matter of how many commercials it actually does have. Because that's another thing, I refuse to watch commercials anymore.
Trust me, I understand. I haven't watched anything on actual TV now for like 3 years, just because I can't. I can't sit through it because I know it's just somebody selling my time, my eyeballs away to somebody else.
Do you have any more apps you wanna bring? Anything pressing?
Let me just do a couple more little flicks through this, see if anything else absolutely catches my eye.
And just to plug the chat again, we had some little dissension inside the chat. So if you want some fireworks, come out on Thursday nights and join the chat on YouTube.
Yeah, there's always something going on there is what I'll say.
Do we ever tell people where the chat actually is? Like we just talk about the chat, but don't ever tell anybody where the chat is.
Well, I mean, if they follow us on Discord, if they follow us on Mastodon, if they follow us on Facebook, if they follow us on Twitter, then the link they see will bring them right to the chat.
And if you're not doing any of those, then search for Android App Addicts on YouTube.
Yeah, 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 yeah. This last link I'm going to bring is actually a link I discovered by watching a fella with hairy arms on YouTube named ETA Prime. Um, really passionate guy about MIDI computers, about Raspberry Pis, but really his passion is, which it's very obvious when you watch any of his videos, is emulation of games. This is a application called DIG, emulator front end. And all this is, it's a layer on top of all the engines you can load to play old video games, but it's an unbelievably beautiful and elegant interface that is very easily customizable, and you can very easily take your profiles from desktop to laptop to Android, and everything just seems to work. So if you are a fan of playing, emulating old games, whether it be Atari, Sega, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 3, or whatever, but you really want something that is really easy for people to just look at, absorb, and actually enjoy using the interface, Dig dash emulator front end is a fantastic choice. There is in-app purchases. I do believe to get full functionality, you have to pay a small monetary fee to get all the possibilities, is what I'll say, from the application. And I want to say it was like $4 a year.
Okay, so this is a legit emulator?
No, that's the gimmick. It's just a front end. You still have to load either RetroPie or individual game engines like SNES 96 or Atari 2600 backends. And this is just the front end. Think of
Okay,
this
yeah.
as your Office suite, where the games and the emulation are the actual documents on the back end.
Yeah, that's great. And the first line of the description is, "Note, this is not a game," all caps, double exclamation point. "If you don't know what emulators and front ends are, this app is not for you." Fair enough.
Yes. So what you do is you load either something like RetroArch on your Android device, which is easily downloadable in the Android store, and then you load this as a secondary thing, and then this will recognize and pick up all the game engines, and then you just load the games in the proper folders, and then all of a sudden you will load this interface up, and you'll have like easily one-click access to all of your games.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Kodi,
Mhm.
the UI. Um, All right, so then I've never used an emulator on my phone. What what are we talking about as far as playability?
Even on devices from 2 years ago, you can play uh, Super Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2 things with little issue, and everything older will just run fine. There's a lot of Bluetooth controllers you can connect to your Android device. The most popular, the most versatile, functional, to be honest, is an Xbox 360 controller, Bluetooth connecting to an Android tablet or phone.
Well, if it plays PlayStation 2, then my old friend Time Splitters might need to get fired up.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure on almost any device made in the last 2 years, it would probably run fine. Any device made in the last year, it will scream and run great.
That's something I would like to hear from people about as well, is if anyone else in this entire world ever played Time Splitters on PlayStation 2. I mean, I'd still believe I haven't played games in a long time, but I still think it's one of the best games that was ever produced. And it was out when the PS2 came out as well. That was the first game. I bought the PS2 the day it came out, and they had Time Splitters. And then I realized that I had to buy the 4-part adapter for the PS2 because there's only 2 ports for controllers, so they get you there too. There's another $50. And then I
Yeah,
brought that home, and we started to play it with my roommates at the time. There's 4 of us, and then realized, wow, our TV's crap. So then you go out and buy a new TV for it as well.
that was the only advantage I think the N64 Nintendo 64 had over other consoles was it by default had 4 controller ports.
Yeah, exactly. Then the Nintendo 64. But that the PlayStation 2 was great, but that was such a nut punch when you first buy it. Like realize that you need a stupid adapter. Might as well be made by Apple, I think.
Right. Very cool. I don't really think I have anything else pressing is the way I'll put it. I will just take a moment to pause and say everyone who supports this network directly, thank you very much. We're never in stress, we're never in hardship, we're never in worrying about the future of the network because of all the support that we get. Um, the last thing I want to do is donate shame people who do not have the time or the um, um, money to be able to afford to support us. What I'll say to everyone out there is being a community member is personally the most important thing to me. If you can donate, it's great. I never will take that as something that I judge other people by. So thank everyone for being a Podnutsians. Thank everyone for coming out to live shows. Caleb, Swift, Red, ED, all you guys. It's just really good to see you guys come out.
Big Sam.
Big Sam, yeah. Just good to see you. Charles, I know you're back there, Charles.
Yeah, he was there a little while ago.
Yeah. I will say again, the easiest way to directly communicate with us, there are links to Discord, links to Mastodon, and links to Matrix in the chat. Um, if you want to contact us directly, AAA at podnuts.com or 7076 Podnut are the other easy ways to contact us. Do you want to go over some of the links there, Josh?
Yep. The first one is Element for Android, which is a matrix, which Dor was just talking about, an app front end for Matrix, and Tusky for Mastodon, which is an Android front end for Mastodon by Keyless Palace under social. And we also discussed Door's OnePlus fetish and Wise Notes, Notes with Brains, early access by Aravind Chowdhury under productivity. And we talked about the best 5 Chinese phones under $200, and a little discussion on Kai OS and digital TV antennas by Nicholas Lichtmeyer under tools. Went along with Kai OS, so we're talking about Graphene OS and Jellyfin, which is a free software media system. And Dora brought up Streamo, which is also a self-hosted media library, and some more talk about Risk V. And Red in the chat also mentioned that we didn't bring up Stirr, STIRR, which is the new free TV, which was his response to Pluto. And Emule remote ale. All right then. Email remote mail early access University of Cambridge communication. Notion notes, tasks, and wikis by Notion Labs Inc. under productivity. Roku channel free streaming for live TV and movies by Roku Inc. under entertainment. And last but not least, Dig emulator front end by Dig Games under entertainment. I would like to also thank everyone that came out and everyone that supports Podnutz and anything else that you listen to. Send people emails. Direct communication is always appreciated by everyone except Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And yeah, if anybody's looking for a coder out there, I've got some time. So let's do this.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Again, thanks for the download. Thanks for the support. The best way to support any podcaster is to directly communicate them, unless they're like Chris from Northeast or other type of DBs or Joe Rogan. But the second best way to support them is literally just tell other people about them. Sorry. In the last week, Apple literally released a paper admitting reviews do nothing to how they present podcast. So if you hear a podcast say leaving us a review helps us, then you should know they literally have no idea what they're talking about. They just believe what some marketing search engine optimization weenie told them. Reviews help the platform that you leave the review on. Reviews never help a podcast. You want to help a podcast, communicate with them directly, or say to somebody else, hey, I like this podcast, and drop a link. Never leave a review for anything Podnutz ever does. Please, I beg you. I beg you. I beg you. Come communicate with us directly. Tell us tell us we're stupid, but just talk to us.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, even if you have something negative to say, we're always open to the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, and I know I'm not perfect, and I hope everyone who communicates with us realizes they're not perfect either. We all have our own flaws. We all believe in things that aren't completely true. Just, have a good time talking with each other and discovering other people's interests, likes, and beliefs. Josh, I definitely want to thank you for coming out. I'm really glad to see you. Every time Ivor isn't here, I really do worry about him. None of us are in the best of healths, is the way I'll put it. And just Ivor's the kind of guy I really just can't wait to talk to again, even though he hates Lenovo. Maybe that's his conspiracy theory. He believes Lenovo's evil. That's it. I figured it out.
Well, if you tie Russia in there somehow, then, or China, I guess, then you're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say, we lost somebody else. Cloris Leachman died here very recently. I'm just going to say, if you think she's like a prim, proper professional, just look Cloris Leachman roast Bob Saget.
Yeah.
And it is some of the most adult material. I mean, it would have made George Carlin blush, except he's dead too. So.
Well, some of the old Bob Saget. Oh man.
Oh, I know.
He's definitely not the Full House dad.
No. But I will say it like this again. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting us. And I hope everyone has a safe week. Hope everyone has a fun week. Hope everyone has some Android experiences that they think are cool. And never forget, anytime you need to contact us, we are here for you, just like you're here for us. So I want to thank everyone, and I'll talk to everyone again in about a week. Transition back. Now let's kill the Audacity.
And R.I.P. Hank Aaron.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about him. Yeah, man. 2 people emailed me with an article that said Hank Aaron drops dead moments after getting the vaccine.
Well, 2 weeks is a moment, isn't it?
17 days, not 2 weeks, 17 days, and he died in his sleep peacefully. And he was almost 90 years old. He's old, man. He was old.
So you're telling me Pfizer killed him? I can read between the lines, Door.
You know, if they're good enough to make a blue pill to bring males back from death, maybe they're good enough for that too.
We talked about that last week as well.
Yeah. My wife said she talked to somebody at work, then said, well, look, Johnson & Johnson is coming out with a vaccine, and I don't trust them. And my wife said, why not? Well, they sold a powder that caused a woman's vagina to fall out.
Whoa.
And my wife said, okay. And like, then there's no, I can't, okay. You're right. Next. I gotta find when I coughed. I turned around so it's not apparent on my wave spectrum.
I was going to take a note on that too, but
Dang it.
yeah, there's a part where you left.
Well, that too.
Right,
That's easy to find. Yeah.
Well, no, or you dropped out as well, and I started blabbering, and then you came back and you were still talking. So I'm just going to go back and take out the part that I was talking.
It's easy to find conflicts. When I coughed.
Oh, geez, where'd it go? Oh, that was fun, Door.
Mm-hmm. Dang it. Okay, so.
And I thought that Red and Caleb were going to get into a fist fight.
Red just slipped, that's all. Happens to the best of us. So I counted, Josh. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
In the last 10 months, I've had more than 80 x-rays. I've had 3 MRIs, CAT scan, nerve test.
How many?
X-rays? At least 80. I mean, I just had 12 on Monday.
Wow.
Literally 12 on Monday.
Well, whatever happened with your took a test a couple weeks ago on Thursday?
The results were submitted to the orthopedic surgeon, and the orthopedic surgeon pushed me off to a spine specialist, and the spine specialist had a minion do an initial appointment with me. Now I'm supposed to see the spine specialist on Monday. And we'll see what he says. And yes, Lenovo is king, Caleb. Their newest yoga, I want to say it's 19 Chromebook. Oh man, that thing is sexy as hell, and I believe could be most people's daily drivers, and they wouldn't even know they're running a Chromebook. You weren't fighting anybody, Caleb. Red accidentally silenced a couple of your messages and then silently shadow banned you, to which I unshadow banned you. And he admitted he like bumped something wrong. It happens. Oh man. So yeah, I'll say they at least say to me to my face now, they understand why I have pain from like the very top of my neck down to my elbow, but they don't understand why I have pain from my elbow to my wrist. Okay. So then I like kindly like said, so what are we going to do about it? Well, and of course the typical answer is, well, we're going to look at physical therapy. And then if physical therapy doesn't work, we're going to look at basically a epidural in the back of your neck. Two of the doctors admitted to me and a third almost admitted to me everything from my shoulder down is the kind of thing that they believe will go away with time because it's a pinched nerve in my shoulder, pinched nerve in my elbow, pinched nerve in my wrist that they believe will just, work its way out.
Yeah, that's no good.
I'm like, okay, when?
All right, why is this not working?
I don't know.
I'm trying to do a noise reduction. I get the noise profile. It says select a few seconds
Of the noise,
of
not the
the
good talk.
silence. Oh, wait, what? I thought that was supposed to do a couple seconds of. Oh, maybe I already got the profile. What the hell?
Shirt hates me. Yeah, and the gimmick is, so if you can create your own mesh network, but the only things that will benefit by it are things on your mesh network. So you could have a network sprawling your house where it's a true mesh network, but nothing outside your network will see the benefit to it. And it's hard to make each node, how can I put this? Efficient to where they don't load 50% speed with each hop and without costing like $80 a node. Okay. Oh, and I forgot. There's now an air quotes an unofficial Android that you can load on a Raspberry Pi and supposedly runs pretty good. Because everything I used in the past that was unofficial Android on the Raspberry Pi most certainly did not run good.
No. There's been so much crappy hardware for Android. No, I'm just
Okay, I am going to stop the stream here
okay.
and do some post production.
Somebody wants to say hello.
Oh. Ah!
You say hello?
Hey. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Very cool.
You just like upstairs.
Are you ready for bed?
You kept saying, "Do we know Dora? Is
I'm
Dora
ready
our
for bed.
friend?" And then you kept saying, "Dora is my friend. My friend."
Dor, your friend?
Yeah.
You say hi, Dor?
Hi.
Hi.
Say hi, Dor.
Can you say, "I liked your podcast"? Say, "I liked your podcast."
Can you say I like your podcast?
I want your podcast.
Thank you very much. I like seeing you, buddy.
Good.
Very cool. Are you ready for bed? Because I think I'm
Yeah.
ready for bed. Yeah. Did you have a fun day?
Yeah.
I did too. It was a really good day.
I do want to back upstairs.
You
Okay.
Go back upstairs. Okay.
Can you say good night?
Good night.
Good night, buddy.
All right, love you, buddy. Have a good sleep.
Oh my goodness. Such a good looking kid.
Well, I was in your podcast.
You were in the podcast?
No, well, I was.
Oh, Wiley. Yeah, he's around
He
here
was
somewhere.
watching. He was watching.
Oh, he was watching too? The
Yeah.
cat was watching the podcast? Well, that's good. All right, good night, bud.
It was
Very cool. Swift, I'll just say this: PDF readers for Android. I don't trust the security concerns I have surrounding PDF. So I literally just use the Google Drive built-in PDF reader because it really doesn't open the PDF. It just allows you to preview the PDF.
I wish I was half as cute as my kid, man.
Trust me, I understand. I tried to explain to my oldest kid, look, you have the hair I had when I was like your age, but you are so much better looking. Because I remember going to, every time I went to either a barber or a beautician, they would always comment on, wow, you have really nice hair. You have really thick hair. When my son went to school, he said he would just be sitting there paying attention in class, and girls would just like touch his hair, like twirl his hair. I'm thinking, dude, you have no idea.
It's fleeting, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I get like this. This is what your future looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
So he keeps now making short jokes because he's taller than me, and he keeps making bald jokes. And I keep telling him, look, I'm going to make submission jokes here. You keep it up.
Yeah, I'm going to make TKO jokes.
Okay, I'm going to kill the stream here.
See you later, guys. Thanks for coming out.
I've got to get this published.